If you always expect the worst, it usually starts so quietly you hardly notice it. Before any trip, your brain doesn't picture the view from the hotel or the taste of the food. It runs the disaster reel first. You see car crashes. On the highway in your mind, imagine plane problems before you even buckle your seatbelt. Think through lost luggage, stolen wallets, canceled bookings. When something good finally happens, your first instinct isn't joy, it's suspicion. Okay, what's the catch? You walk into a room and automatically clock the exits. You double save files, screenshot receipts, rehearse what you'll do when it all goes wrong, even when no one else is worried. People around you laugh it off with, "Relax, it'll be fine." But your body doesn't get the memo. It stays slightly tense, like it's always braced for impact. In quiet moments you wonder, why do I always expect the worst? Can't I just trust anything good? If that feels uncomfortably accurate. What I'm about to tell you about your nervous system and your past is something most people like you never get to hear, and it can completely change how you see this negative side of yourself. After a while, people give this part of you a label. You're so negative. You always expect the worst. You're paranoid. When you mention backup plans or what could go wrong, they roll their eyes like you're trying to ruin the mood. So you start turning on yourself too. You hate that you can't enjoy vacations without picturing disasters or good news without waiting for it to fall apart. You watch other people sink into the moment while you stand there mentally checking for exits no one else can see. On the outside, it looks like pessimism. On the inside, it feels like living next to a low-level alarm that never fully turns off. Most people stop there and decide they're just broken or too anxious. That's only because no one ever explained what your brain learned a long time ago about safety. Danger and surprise. What other people see as always expecting the worst is rarely random. In psychology, a pattern like this is often related to hypervigilance, a nervous system that has learned it cannot afford to be caught off guard. If your history includes chaos, sudden loss, harsh criticism, broken promises, or moments where life flipped without warning, your body doesn't forget that. Even if your thinking mind says, "That was years ago," another part of you quietly files it under. Good things don't last. Safety is temporary. Stay ready. So the part of you that scans for disaster isn't trying to ruin your life. It's a survival system that was trained by experience. Your brain has slowly started to confuse being prepared with being safe. When you look closer, you can see how this survival system actually works. First, there's nervous system memory. Your body keeps a record of every time things went wrong without warning. The argument that exploded out of nowhere. The job that disappeared overnight. The person who changed their mind after promising they wouldn't. Your thinking brain may move on, but your nervous system quietly keeps a file called "Never Again." Hypervigilance is that file running in the background, your brain scanning the future for possible threats so you're not blindsided like before. Imagining the worst doesn't feel dramatic to you. It feels like staying one step ahead. Second, there's control as a substitute for safety. If life once felt chaotic or unpredictable, your brain starts to equate control with survival. Planning every outcome, rehearsing every conversation. Having 3 backup plans, each of these gives you a small hit of relief. If I can trust life, at least I can trust my preparation. Other people lean on optimism. You lean on contingency plans. Third, there's what we could call emotional insurance. By expecting things to fall apart, you're trying to soften the blow before it lands. If I to get my hopes up, it won't hurt as much. The painful twist is that you end up suffering twice, once in your imagination, and again, if something actually goes wrong. From the outside, people only see negativity. They never see the memory, the need for control, and the emotional armor underneath. The important question becomes, where is this instinct genuinely wise, and where is it quietly stealing your future? Because some of this instinct really is wise. It's the part of you that spots red flags early, doesn't fall for obvious scams, thinks ahead when everyone else is being reckless. That isn't broken, that's intelligent caution. But there's a point where the same system slowly shifts from guardian to jailer. You don't just prepare for the worst. You start living as if the worst is guaranteed. You pre-reject opportunities so they can't reject you. You say no to things you secretly want because you've already watched them fail 100 times in your head. On the outside, it looks smart. On the inside, It's your past quietly vetoing your future. The real turning point comes when you start asking, is this wise caution? Or is this an old fear making all my decisions for me? You don't have to bully yourself into being positive. What actually helps is changing your relationship with the part of you that expects the worst. One way to start is to name the protector, not just the problem. The next time your brain starts running disaster scenarios, instead of ugh, being negative again, try, this is my worst case planner talking, or this is the part of me that thinks staying ready equals staying safe. Giving it a name doesn't magically fix it, but it moves you from I am this to a part of me is doing this, and that small shift gives you space to choose. Then ask yourself the whys or wound question. When you notice yourself preparing for the worst, pause and ask, what am I actually afraid will happen? Here, can I say it in one simple sentence? Is there real current evidence for this fear? Or does it feel older than this moment? If a friend described the same situation, would I tell them to avoid it or to take a small, safe risk? Sometimes your answer will be, yes, this is wise caution. There really are red flags here. Good. That's your intuition doing its job. There are times you'll feel that quiet truth. This fear feels bigger than this situation. It feels familiar. That's often the wound speaking, not the present. From there, your nervous system needs new experiences, not just new thoughts. Pick one tiny experiment that nudges against the script. Think of something your worst-case planner is telling you to avoid a conversation. Small opportunity, a change you secretly want. Instead of jumping all in, choose one small step that proves to your body, this isn't the past. Today is different. Send the message without perfect rehearsing and just see what happens. Go to the event, but give yourself permission to leave after 30 minutes. Say yes to something small you'd usually pre-reject and notice the outcome. Afterwards, ask yourself, did the absolute worst actually happen? What did I learn about me, not just about danger? Each time, reality turns out even slightly gentler than your forecast. Your nervous system gets one new data point. Maybe I have to live at DEFCON 1 all the time. When you look at all of this together, negative person stops being an accurate label. You're someone with a sensitive, intelligent nervous system that learned it had to stay ready. You're a kind of protective forecaster. You see risks others miss. You think ahead. You care deeply about not being blindsided again. That's a strength when it serves you, not when it quietly runs your entire life on autopilot. The shift isn't to scream, just be positive at yourself. It's to talk to this part of you differently. I see you trying to protect me. Do I actually need this level of alarm right now? Can we try something a little softer and see how it goes? You're not deleting your caution. You're teaching it that it doesn't have to do everything all the time alone. This felt like someone finally explained your brain instead of just judging it. You're not the only one wired this way. Ask yourself, what is your mind always trying to prepare you for? Your answer might be the first step in realizing you. Not just negative at all. Ray, a survivor learning how to live beyond survival.